So I am dealing with a very unfortunate problem in my garden, and it's something a lot of people in Florida probably deal with as well. And I hope this helps other people because I've noticed it happening a little bit here and there in little pockets of my garden, but this year I think it's taken over a big portion of my planting space, and it's caused several different crops to die on me. So it's time to just remediate the problem, or at least try, and see what happens. So what I'm talking about is root knot nematodes, and they're just an awful pest here in Florida. And a lot of the southeast I know deals with them. Places that are hotter, I know people in California deal with them. I don't know if it's just a warm weather problem, but it definitely is a problem down here in Florida, and especially in my garden. And it's not all over, but I do notice it in some places. So this year I'm going to try something new and see how it goes. But luckily, I have lots of places new that I'm foodscaping, and I can tuck things like tomatoes and cucumbers in. And so I'm not going to lose any planting space for growing those types of things this fall, I'm hoping. And I'm going to also grow a lot of things like that in grow bags and in pots. So sometimes that's just what you got to do. And yeah, it is what it is. So let me show you what's happening. So these poor plants were my very productive okra plants. And I noticed that they started not doing so hot. They stopped producing fruit that looked right. It was always misshapen, and they were very attractive to different pests. And when plants are stressed out, they are more likely to attract pests than a healthy plant. So I kept wondering what is happening, because I have the same variety of okra in my front yard, and the plants are really pretty and productive still. And so it got me thinking, you know what? I saw root knot nematodes in a different part of my garden, not too far away from where these were planted. And I said, you know what? I bet you these have the same issue. So I started pulling them up, and sure enough, one by one, they are definitely infected with root knot nematodes. Some of them are, well, these have ants all over them. I don't want to touch the ants. But some of them, like this one, are completely just engulfed in them. Like the roots don't even look like roots at all, and it's almost like it's in the stem even. So root knot nematodes are just what they sound like. They are a nematode that is found in the ground, and especially here in sandy Florida, they are prevalent, and it's just something that we deal with. And if you have them in your soil, you just have them in your soil. There's really not much you can do about them being there, but you can do a couple things to at least suppress them further down in the soil than your plants are using up, like the root space. So I'm going to do a couple things. So for one, you don't want to plant varieties of things like peppers, certain vining, like cucurbits. These are obviously okra, tomatoes. Those are all very susceptible to root knot nematodes. But one thing you can do is add French marigolds to the areas where you are having the issues. So they say that the marigolds secrete some kind of chemical in the roots and also in the foliage. So once these are done growing, so I don't know if they'll be hardy or not in the winter, but whenever they die off, I will just compost them right in place and till them into the soil. Well, not till, but I will work them into the soil. So that way I have the roots suppressing the nematodes, and then I have the foliage suppressing the nematodes after I'm done using them. So I bought 40 plants, and the nice lady at Lowe's discounted them to 90 cents a plant when they were on sale for $1 a plant. So that was nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 20, well, I think I'm going to put 15 in each of my 2 garden beds where I know I was having the issue, along with some really nice fresh compost, and I'm going to leave it like that for the whole rest of the season. So another thing is, I'm pretty sure most brassicas are not susceptible to the root knot nematodes as much, and that would make complete sense because those 2 beds I grew brassicas in last fall, and they did wonderfully, and I never saw any nematodes at all. So I'm going to cover crop with brassicas and the marigolds, both of which are edible, by the way. So one of my beds is going to be completely filled with things like different kales, and I have this new variety I'm going to try out, and I have a bunch of mustard greens that I saved the seeds from last year, and I will fill it with that. The other one, I'm going to do different Asian greens that I have big plans for in the winter time. So I'm going to try that out, and I will bring you along to see how everything turns out. It's just unfortunate that sometimes you just deal with certain things in your garden that you can't control. But root knot nematodes are definitely one of those that you really don't know the problem is there until it's way too late, because these were thriving, healthy plants earlier in the summer, and now they're just completely garbage. So I'm not even going to compost these. I think I'm just going to toss them out, well, at least cut off the roots and toss those in the garbage. But yeah, so I'm going to try this, and I will bring you along and show you my process and how I do it. So we're here in the next morning, and this is what I ended up with. I did 15 there and 15 here of the French marigolds, and then in this bed around these I'm going to be planting Asian type brassicas, and this one I'll be planting different other types of brassicas and different greens. So both of which help control the nematodes in the soil. Also, adding 3 bags of really nice fresh compost should help as well, because the more organic matter you have in the soil, the better. Apparently, the nematodes really like our nice sandy soil. So, added some fresh compost to those. This one has a fresh amendment of some all-purpose organic fertilizer as well. I accidentally left the bag open, so I had to dump it out. So I just chose to dump it here like a few days ago. So now I will be able to plant in these beds. Obviously nothing like cucumbers, tomatoes, eggplant, obviously okra, because that's definitely what was eaten the most of. But it seems that these peppers that are here have I have quite a few jalapenos on this plant. This plant doesn't seem to be affected, and neither does that little jalapeno plant right there. I dug up some of the roots and none of them look like nematode damage. So I'm wondering if there's a thing with spicy peppers. Who knows? But I'm going to leave those there and see what happens. So yeah, so I cut down this big holy basil there. There's no doubt seeds that have are going to be self-sown somewhere around here. There's already actually a few here. Obviously I need to come in and mulch around the edges of these beds, but that's for another day. So yeah, so I also tucked in a few other marigolds, like specifically around the bottom of these trellises, because I knew there were some nematode issues there. That's where I dug up the pumpkin vine, and it had nematode damage on it. I planted, and see, look, I have this tomato here growing in a pot, so I'm gonna hopefully have no nematode damage there. I popped a couple in there, a couple over there, and then 3 here, because there was also a pumpkin vine here with nematode damage. So we shall see. I'm gonna try and just make sure I keep an eye on plants, and if they start to look like they're doing poorly, I will definitely reevaluate what I'm doing. But this is my trial. It is August, what day is it? It is August 27th. So that is the day 26th is the day I put in the marigolds. And don't forget, they have to be French marigolds. Those are the type that secrete the whatever it is in the roots and in the foliage that the nematodes do not like. So we will see what happens, and we'll go from there. But I chose mostly yellow because I like the yellow color more. Might as well enjoy what I'm looking at. I have some peas, or these are long beans, growing up in here. So here's a fresh start for the fall season, and I will keep you updated. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.